Hello, my name is John Smith, and if there's one thing I love, it's listening to music.
Wow, John, what a really cool and original idea that no one's ever had before.
Okay, I get it. Every human being on planet Earth likes listening to music. I'm not expecting any, Ebenezer Scrooges to come rotting out of the woodwork and be like, "Ugh, I hate the concept of vibrations." Obviously everyone likes music. Listen, I have a brother. He's, partially deaf. His one ear, he's always needed a hearing aid, and, it got worse, and, now he has a cochlear implant. And when he's not using that, his ear is just dead, can't hear anything. My half-deaf brother, his favorite pastime is listening to music. So yeah, liking music. It's pretty cool. Kind of a universal experience. I think we can agree on that. So, you're probably questioning, John Smith, what makes you so special? Do you like special music? Do you listen to a music that no one else does? Does lightning bolts shoot from your fingertips? No. You see, the only thing that makes me different is that I like r/music. That's right, you're not dealing with your average music listener. You're dealing with an internet music listener. You know who I'm talking about here. The type. Those people. Listens to underground artists that have 3 monthly listeners. They make up complaints like, oh, the mixing on this song was too compressed. You're not talking about bass or drums. I don't understand those words. And they'll always share, the crustiest 3x3s with way too many albums. I can just smell the Soylent off of this. It is... So yeah, that's who I am. That's me. I'm the problem. I go on Album of the Year and I say annoying shit like, have you heard of Tyler the Creator? You probably wouldn't know him, but it's called Neutral Milk Hotel. He's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. That's right, I'm just outing myself live on the internet right now. When you hand me the aux cord, you can bet I'm not playing any hard shit. I'm throwing on some Elliott Smith. Okay, we've established that I have horrible music taste. Great, fantastic, cool. So now what? Okay, I swear I'm gonna actually talk about the music in 1 minute. I'm gonna stop yapping and get to the point. But I need to explain the format of the video. Trust me, it's worth it. Alright, so the rules of this video are I can only talk about albums released in 2024. Is a bit of leeway, there's one album that was released a bit into 2023, right at the tail end, but why am I yapping? You don't care. The problem is, I did the math, and I'm pretty sure if I'm counting albums that came out this year and that I also listened to, that's 32, 33, and I'm not Quentin Reviews. I don't want to make a 25-hour video, so we're going to be speeding through a couple of these. Basically, I'm going to be talking about a handful of my favorite albums of the year, organized in a top 10 list. Because the last caveat I'm going to put on this is I've kind of excluded all the albums that I had mediocre or negative opinions on. For example, the new Taylor Swift album, Tortured Poets
Department.
I just could not get into it. I'm sorry to all my Swifties out there, but I don't think the music was for me. I don't really care that much about the Swiftie lore. I just really struggled to get into that, and if I was going to talk about it, it wasn't going to be that positive. Plus, does anyone even care what my opinions on Taylor Swift is? So to finish up this housekeeping, other albums that I felt like I wasn't really vibing with or don't have that much to say are the new TV Girl album, the new Halsey album, the new Glass Beach album. And finally, and this was the most heartbreaking for me, I'm also excluding the new Eminem album, Death of Slim Shady. I know, but I'm telling you, I listened to that thing like 4 times, and I could maybe tell you 2 songs off of it. Like, it is just gone out of my brain. It is not there anymore. And to all of my Eminem stans, I'm sorry. I feel your pain. But please, don't assault me with your awfully hot coffee pots, especially while I'm wearing socks and picking locks outside of my local hockey shop. I wanna reach out and grab you. All right, and with that, all of the preamble is out of the way, and with no further ado, we're getting into John Smith's top 9 albums of 2024. Why 9 and not 10? Because we like to go one step below. God, no one's gonna get that reference.
Wop, 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 that fuck 'em up. Wop, 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 I'ma do my stuff.
American night.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Number 9.
And coming in at number 9 is going to be The Thief Next to Jesus by rapper Ka. That's K-A, you can say. Ka, being someone who is very distrustful of positions of power or people in power, goes through quite a lot in this album, kind of dissecting those thoughts and ideas. Near the beginning of the album, he almost talks about wanting to lay a foundation for future generations, but lamenting the fact that a lot of the foundations we have are already corroded or ruined by people who came before us. And a large amount of the ire that Ka has at people of power in this album is pointed towards the Black Church, which, needless to say, I'm not exactly relating to the black part, but I can get the church bit. Ka is seemingly stuck with this idea that the church has just given up, or is so submissive that they just roll over and accept whatever injustice is given to them, while also lamenting the fact that his only solution is thugging it out and making money until your untimely death. Which, considering this is now, unfortunately, Ka's last record, makes a lot of these messages about, like, generations and, like, trying to make something good but always falling short hit all that harder. I particularly think about the one line where he's talking about if the people in the church really cared about him, they would just give him what's in the collection plate, which kind of goes hard. No, I'm not going super in-depth into all of these albums. Very obviously, even now that I've cut it down to 9, I've kind of got to speed through them, so TLDR, if you like rap, if you like underground stuff, or maybe if you're interested in critiques of power, whatever, check out Ka, The Thief Next to Jesus. Coming in at number 8 is going to be Hyperdrama by Justice. Justice, the electronic dance group, is it a group or is it just one guy? So Justice made a new album, Hyperdrama, and I liked it. In the past couple of years, I've been getting more into electronic music, dance music, that whole scene, and very much Justice was one of my gateway drugs into there. His album, is it just self-titled? Yeah, the Cross one, self-titled, whatever you call it, was a lot of fun. And this one is also a lot of fun. I was dancing, I was grooving, the beats made me go boop, boop, boop. I don't really know how to talk about dance music, it's just fun. I am going to say that with the caveat that Tame Impala and Thundercat are on this record, and Wow, what a surprise. A guy who looks like this is a fan of Tame Impala. But Tame Impala and Thundercat do songs on this album, and they slap. They are so good. And that pisses me off because both Tame Impala and Thundercat have released nothing but features for like the past 4 or 5 years. Like I'm that one meme with the guy in the pipe, you know, the fucking I really enjoyed this Justice album. Moving on to number 7.
You're a good boy, aren't you? No different than a trained dog.
Number 7 is Cool World by Chat Pile. Chat Pile, the hardcore punk band, comes out with Cool World, which, surprise, surprise, doesn't seem like that much of a cool world. I like the song I Am Dog Now. That's very funny to say. Go ahead, say it at home. Say you are dog now. It's just fun. But yeah, a lot of the critiques that Chat Pile has in this of society and just the disgusting, horrible, rancid, acid dripping, dipped in sewage and shoved up my ass guitars and distortion on here are pretty cool. I like them. If you like punk, check out Chat Pile Cool World.
Excuse me, are y'all with the cult?
And was this 6? Yes. And coming in at number 6 is going to be Not God by Fiome. Is that how you say their name? I don't think I've ever said it out loud. So, Fiome, or as they've also been known as Home and Ohm, changed their name a few times, is a math rock, pop rock band from Chicago. And in that whole Chicago scene of like underground rock bands, Fiome is by far my favorite. I know you hear the term just like math rock, Midwest emo, and you kind of get an idea for it. But this band, I genuinely feel are like pushing the envelope in it and might actually be my favorite, like currently still releasing music band. Big claim, I know. But enough about me fucking glazing these people. What did I like about this album? So Fiome goes kind of in directions of either being very ambient, almost like spacious, like soundscapes, and also just creating like B-52 like classic rock songs. Throwing some math rock and some other bullshit in there, and you have a Fiome album. And this album genuinely feels like marrying a bunch of those ideas because they've had like more ambient albums, they've had more rocking albums, and this one feels like almost the perfect middle ground between everything they've made up to this point. Not God having a lot of themes about cults makes it a bit of a fun listen to, about control. Like a lot of Fiome's work, there's a lot of commentary about feminism and the role that like women play in society, which, you know, talking about cults and people controlling things, you can make a few connections there. I would say if you're looking for some kind of alternative rock or avant-garde pop rock band to really scratch that indie bitch like spot in your brain, check out Fiome. I've always enjoyed them.
So, you guys just sit around and wait for an alien to show up?
And number 5 is going to be
Source
80 by OCs. The OCs. OC. Why do they have like 3 bands that are named the same? Okay, so this is where I actually have to come out of the prog closet and say that I love prog rock. Like King Gizzard, Pink Floyd, yes, all of that bullshit, put it into my veins now. Unfortunately, prog rock has kind of stagnated horribly, and if there's one area where prog rock has kept its little heart beating a little bit, the spirit of prog rock still lives, it is in weird acid rock, proggy, whatever the fuck King Gizzard does, and the OCs are right in there.
Source.
80, it is a lot of very acidy sounding, like dipped in chemicals, just distorted guitars, lots of solos, and just tons of just energetic, just like, and you know, I just really like that. All I can say is listen to the song Earthling, and if you vibe with that, listen to the rest of the album. If not, get out of my house. Get out of my house. Get out of my...
I can only count to 4. I can only count to 4. I can only count to 4.
Number 4. No title. As of 13th February 2024. 28,340 dead. Godspeed, you Black Emperor. So, I feel like I don't have to explain what this album is about, especially because this is an entirely instrumental album. But let's step back for a sec. Godspeed, you Black Emperor. Very famous post-rock band, up there with Swans in terms of just making what the fuck music. Godspeed and all of its contemporaries are known for making very, like, big-sounding music. Music that builds on itself and grows and just makes a cacophony of noise. And once again, considering the subject of this album, Godspeed seemingly takes a step back here and creates a soundscape that is far more large, far more empty, far more barren than anything they've made before. Which is all the more impressive considering, despite this thing being like over 40 minutes long and only instrumentals, I was entertained the entire way through. I mean, the thing came in at number 4. I think it's obvious to say I liked all the songs on this. They're powerful, big, moving. It's like all of these are a soundtrack to a great movie that doesn't exist. This noise is very appropriate and, ironically enough, is saying far more than they could ever have said without words. Which, I know, so I'll try to get my head out of my ass and not sound as, like, pretentious indie art school kid, but honestly, I really enjoyed this. I don't know if I would recommend this to people as, like, their first instrumental album or even, like, first Godspeed project, but if you're in that weird art scene of music where you're like, I want to hear some weird shit, this is definitely one that will hit you and hit you hard. What else is there to say?
Mr. President, sorry, but we just wanted to...
Get out of my house!
Okay, we're going into the top 3 now, which my monkey brain tells me is a big deal. So, full disclosure, this whole list, I know I ordered it like 1 to 9, but a lot of these numbers are very relative. Like, I consider the Godspeed album better than the Ka album, but a lot of these numbers that are right next to each other, they could be shuffled around and I'm not putting up too much of a fight. But these top 3, legit, I could not tell you how hard it was to decide which goes where. Starting from number 3, number 2, and number 1, I have considered all of these at different points to be the best album of 2024. So understand, this is just what John Smith was feeling this particular day. Like, catch me out on the streets like 5 months from now, and I could be saying number 3 should have been number 1. I'm not... You know, whatever, you get it. I enjoyed all of these albums a lot. There's not a single bad song on any of them. Starting now with number 3, Chromacopia by Tyler, the Creator. So Chromacopia, we're catching Tyler right off of his Call Me If You Get Lost era of Tyler. And now he's right into his Paranoid era of Eraserhead. I've never, I've never brought this up before, but, like, seriously, like, this was inspired by Eraserhead, right? Like, no one has brought this up. Like, I found, like, one TikTok and, like, a single post comparing this to Eraserhead, but, like, the fear of being a parent, the weird hair, that like they're even like the black and white, like that, like it was at least an inspiration, right? Like Eraserhead was definitely an inspiration. Chromacopia has some bops on it. It has some shit. Chromacopia fucks. And I'm just not talking in the good music way. Like, there's a lot of songs about having sex on here. See, Tyler is so cool that he can be pro-choice and eat pussy. I'm not joking. That's actually one of the notes I wrote for this album. It is... I had a lot of fun listening to this. This album is very interesting because we now have a more healthy, more self-conscious Tyler, the Creator, you know? He went through his Flower Boy era. Now seemingly going into himself, becoming a lot more paranoid, being a lot more skeptical of the world that he's in, and it just kind of sounds good. Obviously, a lot of the hits hit, but even like the smaller songs, I really like and play into the theme. Like, he's going into a lot more of like a David Bowie-esque storyteller with a lot of these. Even ones that feel like a bit more gimmicky, like, was it Hey Jude or Judge? No. Hey Jude was the Beatles song. It's Judge Judy. My God, it was Judge Judy. Why am I not remembering? Even a lot of these songs that could feel gimmicky really work, really go together, and Tyler is just throwing everything in there. Tyler does more in like a single song on Chromacopia than some artists do in an entire album. Like, he is throwing his whole Tyler bussy into this album. It is awesome to watch. Obviously with Tyler, the vibe of this whole album, like paranoid, kind of militaristic, like sticks throughout the whole thing and just feels great. The features are wonderful. The lyrics are great. The music just dances. And yeah, like I said, I really don't have anything that negative to say about it. It is just a consistent vibe the whole time, and I love it. Just not as much as these two.
Now get inside and start massaging my wife.
Number 2, The New Sound by Georgie Greep. Let's go, baby. We're greeping it up. Greep, baby. Greep, greep, greep. So this album really just scratches my prog-loving heart. Like I said, I really like progressive rock. I really like math rock. I like anything that's just kind of long, windy, like goes from one phase to another. And this album, being inspired by Brazilian bossa nova, other like dance and tango beats, and just a whole lot of other shit thrown into a blender and just dumped out into the creepiest thing possible. I love it. I would say if you have any bone in your body that loves like math rock, little twingly guitars, or like prog rock progressions, like, check this out. It is a treat. It is a full ass meal. It is a greep and a half. I give this album 5 greeps out of 2 greeps. And let me tell... What? Another thing I really like about this album is that from what I can tell, there are only 2 songs on it that are not about being cucked in some way, which is very cool. So Georgie Greep, previously the lead singer of the now defunct band Black Midi, which, if that just sounds like a group of words that I just threw up, like, I cannot emphasize enough how horny this man is on this album. Particularly, he is horny for not having sex. He will tell you exactly what he wants you to do, but they are not having sex. That is very important. It's part of his turn on. He does not want to have sex. But yeah, if anything I said there sounds interesting to you, I heavily insist, check it out. I would recommend going with the song Holy Holy, or maybe checking out some Black Midi first, but this is a great album, and if you vibe with any of that stuff, you'll love this. Alright, we're getting into honorable mentions. So, this is going to be how I get through, like, all the other albums I listened to this year that, you know, weren't just the 9 best. So like I said, I had the handful that I didn't really have much of an opinion about. And yeah, the ones I really liked, I really wanted to talk about, like, obviously in a shortened format, but these ones, like, These are all going to be like rapid fire, like quick, short spurts of just like opinion, that type of whatever. You're just going to get a crash course, 1 or 2 sentences, what I think about it. Then we're going to move on and then go to number 1. Let's hear what John Smith has to say about the new Vampire Weekend album, Only God Was Above Us. I liked it. I thought the music was kind of neat. The lyrics I really enjoyed, but I found that it was a bit samey after a while, and I would have liked a bit more variation. Also, Chapel Rowan, I think, you know, the one, which technically came out in
2023.
but it was a
2024
album, like, like it came out right at the tail end, and everyone agrees that it's a
2024
album. Like, it was competing with Brat all summer for which would be the song of the. But yeah, I liked it. Definitely one where I enjoyed the hits a lot more than the B-sides, but I will say every time I listen to Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, like, I enjoy more of the B-sides, or there's another song that I'm just like, yeah, I kind of like that more. Like, it's an album that has really grown on me. So, if this is one that you've listened to and maybe you weren't the biggest fan of, that's just giving it another shot. Next one, MGMT. This one I really liked at first. Like I said, a common complaint I have is if an album sounds too samey. And this one, I really like the songs, but it sounds like they just kept trying to make the same song over and over again, and you were just hearing different iterations of that. I mean, I liked the song, but do I need to hear it 10 times? Yeah. The new JPEG Mafia album. This is basically just a standard Peggy album. Like, considering this is what's following Scaring the Hose, you could maybe say this is a bit of a letdown, but like I said, this is Peggy just like in his element, doing his thing, and hey, a baseline Peggy is like already like better than 90% of the albums out there. So now we're getting into the rootin' tootin' country albums. So I'm actually going to combine a couple here because I want to talk about Cowboy Carter, the Great American Bar Scene, and of course, the most essential country album of this entire year, Blackgrass by the artist Swamp Dogg. So why am I talking about these three in a group? Mainly just to talk about my views on country, because, believe it or not, I'm not one of those people who listens to everything but country. I enjoy me a bit of country every now and again. But country is a genre that you need to be sincere for. At least, you know, if you're not making, like, bro country. And that's what I find a lot with the Zach Bryan album, Great American Bar Scene. He is very authentic. He is very himself. It's just, at certain points, I don't really care who Zach Bryan is. The album is very much sad boy country, which if you're into that, fine. It only has like 2 real like party songs, which, fine. Just wasn't the biggest fan. Cowboy Carter, on the other hand, I know Fantano brought this up in his review, but it feels like... But Cowboy Carter feels like Beyonce is trying to justify that she's country, trying to prove herself as country. Just, see, I got Willie Nelson to do an intro. I got Dolly Parton to say I can cover Jolene. And I don't disagree with the assertion that she's country, but it does feel like she's trying to push that so much that it is a negative to the songs. Weirdly enough, the most country-sounding songs on here are either when Beyonce is trying to make a dance song with like a country twist, which I really enjoy, or the features she has from Post Malone and Miley Cyrus. I can't emphasize enough. On Beyonce's country album, the most country-sounding songs are not from Willie Nelson or Dolly Parton, but are from Post Malone and Miley Cyrus. And I think it's entirely because they're not trying to put on, like, a country facade. They're just singing. And finally, we're going to be talking about Blackgrass by Swamp Dogg, which if you don't know who Swamp Dogg is, he's actually the best album of this year. There is no contest. I'm sorry, it was between Swamp Dogg and Jay Schlatt's A Very 1999 Christmas, and real fans know that those are really the best albums of this year, but I had to give everyone else a chance. Next up is Imaginary Disc by Magnolia... What was her last name? Imaginary Disc by Magnolia Bay. This is definitely one that I enjoyed, but it's just a matter of taste, where I'm not the biggest fan of like that 80s synth pop rock sound, where there are like hints of hyper pop in there, but not enough to keep me entertained the whole time. I would say if you like that sound, if you're very Stranger Things pilled, you'll probably enjoy this. Smile by Porter Robinson. I thought it was fine. Nice, quality hyper pop, just kind of bouncing around the place. Didn't feel like it was too distinct. That was the main thing. Ultra 85 by Logic. Now, this one was really heartbreaking because there were many aspects of this album I really enjoyed and I wanted to love, but like, just had little Logic-isms in there. He had the skits, he had little samples in there, he had songs go on for a bit too long. Like, in my head, there is a cut of this album that I really love, but it's just a little short of getting there. I will say, from my experience, this is Logic's best album, and I want to see him improve from here. That said, Logic's best album is still only a mid-tier album. God, that was so mean. Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. This is Billie in her Igor era. This is Billie in her I'm a Lesbian era. This is Billie in her actually pretty good like rock, rap, pop. Billie, I liked this album. I enjoyed it. Machine Girl, MG Ultra. I had fun with it. I liked it. It's very loud, very abrasive, kind of punk, kind of metal, kind of electronic. A little busy, I guess. Ben Folds Slayer. The punk band Fucked Up released 2 albums this year, which is actually a part of another set of albums starting from last year, and if all of that sounds confusing, if you like punk music, you'll like Fucked Up. That's all I'll say. John Anderson released a thing with the Band Geeks. I just find it hilarious that the lead singer of a prog rock band in the 70s is still making music. I enjoyed it, but I'm kind of trying to sell peanuts to a guy with peanut allergies here. You feel me? And speaking of prog, King Gizzard released Flight something something. It's a long time, whatever. It's a King Gizzard album. I liked it. I enjoyed the like metal thing they released last year a bit more, but this was quality. It's Gizzard. I Don't Know How, But They Found Me released Gloom Division, and it was I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It was still quality, like there were a handful of songs I liked, but compared to their other stuff, this feels like a step down, and I just hope that this is more of an exception and not a direction that they're going. Cheekface released a Cheekface album. If you like King Missile type lyrics with a kind of rock band behind them, check this out. Kishi Bashi released an album. Kishi Bashi might be one of the smaller artists I talk about here. He's somewhere between like a rock pop guy and a classical musician banged together and made a weird indie person, and I find that cool. GNX by Kendrick Lamar. Now this is one I feel a little bad about not including it on the list. If I did a top 10, maybe top 12, it would definitely be in there, but at a certain point I just have to draw the line, and so GNX didn't make the cut. Although to be fair, similar to Chapel Rowan, I feel like this is going to be an album that's more a 2025 album. I mean, It's going to be played at the Super Bowl, so I have a feeling it's not just going to blow up now and never again. One thing I really like about this album is that it's seemingly reawoken the love for Dragon Ball Z AMVs, and that matters a lot to me. But yeah, besides that, this is less lyrical Kendrick and more dance Kendrick, and what can I say? When I hear music, it makes me dance. And the last album I want to bring up in honorable mentions is the posthumously released album by Sophie. I want to say it was just a self-titled, yeah, which this one I really struggled with because reason why the single released off of it I really liked, and I thought this album was going to be like kind of a last hurrah for the late great Sophie. But honestly, this album is just, it hurts me to say, is just a bunch of unfinished songs, not done being produced, that was just slapped together and released, which really hurts me as a fan of Sophie. And I really hope music going forward takes inspiration from Sophie and pushes it forward, because I really like the sound of Sophie. I really like the sound of hyperpop, and I want to see that in other music. Which leads me to the number 1 spot.
The world's most comfortable pair of ultra soft
Brat, 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 brat. Number 1 is Brat. Brat, 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 brat. Brat is the latest album by pop sensation Charlie XCX. And it is awesome. Like, it is an essential pop album. It is awesome. It is amazing. It is a tearjerker. You know, fun fact, every album in the top 3 has made me cry. I'm not going to tell you what tracks. I adore Brat, but to take a step back and talk about the actual music, its dance, club-inspired beats are a lot of fun. I just go boom, boom, boom. And what can I say? When I hear music, it makes me dance. It's very obvious influence from things like hyperpop and early 2000s pop. Mwah, it was tailor-made for me. I'm eating so much. Thank you, Charlie, for this bountiful meal. And more than the music itself, the remixes are just crazy. Obviously, the Billie Eilish remix of Guess is even more popular than the original song. But other songs like Girl So Confusing with Lorde, I consider better than the original. And even like 3 extra songs on Brat, but still the same, whatever. The Spring Breakers, which came off of that, I love and think it should have been on the original. I have been fully consumed by Brat Fever. It is awesome, it is dancing, it is emotional, it is just everything I love about music, all wrapped into a green little... And that should wrap things up. All of my thoughts, emotions, and feelings about music released in 2024 have now been shot into the empty ether of the internet, where I'll never discuss them again. That's it, the video's over, get out.